2, walk. Walk.
He will go above and beyond anything that's in his job description. He's just the most loyal team member I think I've ever had.
It's a family. This is a family. So whatever happens, and we back her, then we let her know that we are behind her. Not just me, it's just a whole team. And go!
So
you go stairs all the way.
Boom, boom, boom,
At my
boom.
memory lane, where
Back
kind
with
of
you?
it all
Okay.
began for me in America. And
Walk back.
in Florida.
That's
at that
1. 2 times.
Coach, a fitness coach, you have a physical therapist, you have a hitting partner.
Good, come on.
Yes. All that force that you create is just going in one direction.
All those team members have different roles, but they all have one mission, one goal, and so the coach's role, Sven's role, is to make sure that each one of those team members, all those team members on that ride, have different roles from different parts of the world. Have so one mission, one goal, and so the coach's role, Sven's culturally has a different background, and so working with that is also very interesting because all those team members
can be loud and one can be shy,
but they all have one
how does
mission,
everyone get along?
Everyone culturally has a different background, and so working with that is also very interesting team members.
Only when I'm
One can be shy. How does everyone get along in an environment?
Culturally has a different background, and so working with that is also very interesting team members.
Only when I'm
Can be shy. How does everyone get along in an environment?
Culturally has a different background, and so working with that is also very interesting team members.
Can be shy. Running my how does everyone get along in an environment? Culturally has a different background, and so working with that is also very interesting team members.
Only when I'm
Running my how does everyone get along in an environment? It was my mom. Running my how does everyone get along in an environment? Shut up. It was my mom. When was the last time you made something in the kitchen?
I spend more time with my team year-long than I do with my family or I do with my friends, and they become part of your family.
When was the last time you made something in the kitchen?
I spend more time with my team year-long than I do with my family or I do with my friends, and they become part of your family.
When was the last time you made something in the kitchen?
I spend more time with my team year-long than I do with my family or I do with my friends, and they become part of your family.
When was the last time you made something in the kitchen?
I spend more time understood from a very young age. My name's quiet, and content. Was like
When was the last time you made something in the kitchen?
when he speaks from a very young age. My name's quiet, and he's very important. Content. Was like
When was the last time you made something in the kitchen?
when he speaks from a very young age. My name's quiet, and he's very important. Content. Was like
When was the last time you made something in the kitchen?
when he speaks, far from vacation, I know that the results is not a place that I've been to. They've always been, and far from your vacation, I know that the results is not a place that I've been to. They've always been, but to get there, far from your vacation, you must put in is to know that the results is not a place that I've been to. They've always been, but to get there, far from your vacation, you must put in
Just a few weeks away until I head off to Germany.
is not a place that I've been to.
Looking plenty of points.
They've always been, but to get there, far from your vacation, you must put in
Just a few weeks away until I head off to Germany. Also really frustrating because for 12 months I didn't compete and I didn't play that. What was so natural to me being in certain circumstances and You know, knowing how I felt when I was down in a match, or staying focused when I was ahead in the match. What was so natural to me, being in uncertain, relearning on the court, which is a very different feeling. You know, knowing how I felt when I was down in a match, or staying focused when I was ahead in the match. What was so natural to me,
being mental preparation is that you never actually know what you're going to feel like
knowing
in a
how I
particular
felt when
moment.
I was down in a match, or staying focused when I was
So many
ahead in
different
the
ways,
match.
but
What was so
one
natural to
challenge
me,
of mental preparation is that first you city never that you're actually know competing at, or or until you walk onto the court, and until you play the match, and until you leave the grounds after the match, and until you do it over and over again, you don't know what your feeling will be. And I like that, because that's what makes it exciting. I'm one of the biggest competitors out there. I realize that everyone has a great work ethic, especially in my sport. You can't be playing 20 tournaments a year, traveling around the globe, no matter if you're 100 in the world, and not have work ethic. It takes more. I know what I have beyond work ethic. You know, the will and, you know, not letting anyone stand in my way.
There's been so much talk in the last few weeks about wild cards, and a lot of the players have been playing in the U.S. hardcore tournaments and weighing in on whether I deserve to be back in the game and welcomed with the invitational wild cards. It's been interesting to just be on the side and not have anything to say about it. It's not an easy place to be at. My mission is the first match and the match after that. And whether it takes me to Paris or whether it takes me to London, I don't know. But I hope so. I really do believe that I deserve to be there, and I deserve to be playing there.
It's been hard and rewarding and challenging, and, you know, all those mixed emotions. And I think to come back for everyone that's surrounded me in this time, my team, my coach, my parents, my friends, and I think deep down inside, I have this huge feeling of giving back to them, of them seeing me get my career back. I'm doing it for them, maybe even more than I'm doing it for me. It's how I feel, and it's how they've made me feel. It's what they've given to me. There's no way they would never see me on the court again. I think of being out there in myself on the court. Like, I feel that it's such a big part of my life, and it's such a big stage for me. I'm a performer, and an audience buys a ticket to watch me do my job. And no matter if I have a good day or a bad day, I'm just excited to have that feeling of performing again. I can only imagine how many people will be watching me play on that day. Whether they love me or hate me or respect me or don't respect me, they're curious. And so am I.
It is a really big day for me today. But I'm so strong and I'm going to get through it, and to be honest, I'm going to prevail because I know that my honesty and I know that my truth will get me through this, and that's the most important thing. And I've had the most beautiful life, and I know that this is a big moment, but I'm gonna succeed. I'm gonna get through this. I am. I know it.
The morning of, it was, I don't know, I woke up and I felt like I was preparing for a match. Like it was match day, it was game day. It's always really hard to be like, I'm going to go out in front of the world and say that I fucked up.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here on such short notice. I wanted to let you know that a few days ago I received a letter from the ITF that I had failed a drug test at the Australian Open. I did fail the test, and I take full responsibility for it.
Will shed tears into the red clay.
The champion is Maria Sharapova.
Oh my God. It's unreal. It's unreal.
Maria Sharapova.
My life is a very small part of the universe. Sometimes the ocean's very still and very solid, and it's like ice. And you only see its reflection. And other times it's so turbulent and violent. We go through our own stillness and our own shadows, and then we go through the waves. But they always rise, and then they fall, and they rise, and they fall, and sometimes it's followed by stillness, and then they come back up again, and it's an evolution. I think the one thing about life lessons is we never really know when they're coming, and we actually, in my life, I sometimes didn't even realize that I was learning something or I was going through a lesson until I overcame it. And especially after 2016 and reflecting on that. And this is certainly a situation in my life where I did reevaluate and I did look back. And it just gave me a sense of, I had an incredible career and I've had my fair share of small comebacks and injuries and surgery and...
Oh, and that's me. You see? Hi.
But yet I've maintained a career since I was 4 years old, and I've had this gift of competing and playing tennis. And all of a sudden, it's just taken away from you. It was just about getting ready to go out and train, and I looked at my email, and I received an email from the ITF, and it was a subject line that caught my attention, where it had my name in the subject, and the emails that I usually received from the ITF were all very general, speaking about the latest news, and I opened it, and then it said something about a test, a drug test that I did in Australia, and it mentioned a name of a supplement or a substance. I did not know it at the time. I found myself on my iPad like 30 seconds later looking up what meldonium was. Had never heard of that word, never seen it before. And then a packaging came up which read mildronate, which I had seen many years of of my life, and I knew exactly what it was.
It's very important for you to understand that for 10 years, this medicine was not on WADA's ban list, and I had been legally taking the medicine for the past 10 years. But on January 1st, the rules had changed, and meldonium became a prohibited substance, which I had not known.
Now to that bombshell announcement rocking the tennis world. Maria Sharapova,
the highest paid female athlete in the world for more than a decade.
Off the court, a sponsor's dream. The fashion icon and businesswoman making a whopping $30 million.
The five-time Grand Slam champion.
Admitting she failed
a drug test.
At this year's Australian Open. Players can be suspended for as long as 4 years for a failed test.
She could face anything between 2 and 4 years.
She is labeled now a cheater.
She's 28 years old. That would be career-ending.
Well, the moment after the press conference, I deleted all my social media off my phone. So that was step one. And I think it was to protect myself, to protect my sanity in that moment, to protect myself against opinions, against judgment.
The cheaters are always going to be a step ahead of anybody that's tested.
You cannot say, oh, that escaped me. This is her career.
There's no doubt in my mind that Sharapova was taking this substance to help her performance.
I don't think I've ever gone through my career questioning what other people thought of me. It wasn't something that was very important to me. And then something happens and you're like, well, actually, you're walking on the street and you're like, do they know? Do they not know? What do they think? Do they not? And it would drown me. It would literally just upset me and make me feel so small. And for a woman that's 6'2" and feels confident most of the time about what I do in my life and the profession I'm in, it felt really uncomfortable to feel that small. My mom, she just made me feel like no matter if I was ever not going to hit a tennis ball, that's okay. And she must have spent a few weeks sleeping next to me in bed, just making sure that I knew that someone was always, with me. And in a way, and through this whole process, my dad's been incredible and so calm, and he's able to control a situation when shit hits the fan. Like, he's able to take a step back and evaluate it and reevaluate it and be calm and collected and cool and make the right judgment, making sure that things don't come out of anger, right? Because in a situation like that, you can put blame on everyone. I could blame this person, I could blame that person, and it was never about blaming. It was about taking control of it and being like, we all fucked up. You, me, your mom, our team, but this is what happened, and now we're gonna find a way to get through it.
Just listen to this. No Russian has ever won a singles title here at Wimbledon.
And a new star is born here on centre court. Maria Sharapova, 17 years old, becomes the third youngest Wimbledon champion of all time.
I just feel like maybe I'm a bit of a new fresh air, in women's tennis, which is great because you haven't seen a lot of 17-year-olds, win a Grand Slam lately. So maybe we're coming back to the old times.
The champion is Maria Sharapova. And the 19-year-old has her second Grand Slam championship.
And I started playing a pretty full schedule at that point, and I realized a total decline in my health. My parents said, well, actually, we don't have a doctor. You know, we have an athlete that's a Grand Slam champion that doesn't even have a family doctor. And so that's the time when my father found a doctor in Russia because I was still a teenager. You know, my father was kind of the captain of my team. And America was very foreign to him. Even though we'd lived here for years, he was still much more comfortable speaking to the Russian doctor.
Mix now. Deep and bring her forward. Again, sure.
He was not a doctor that ever, you know, had any work done with an athlete. He worked with immune systems of children, and he was actually a pediatrician. And he did all those tests, and that gave me a list, and actually it was quite an extensive list, especially for a teenager, of different substances that he recommended that I take, and Mildronate was one of the 10. I was given this medicine by my doctor for several health issues that I was having back in 2006. I was getting sick a lot. I was getting the flu every couple of months. I had irregular EKG results. So in Russia, Mildronate was an over-the-counter substance. It's taken almost like an aspirin back home. The doctor was receiving paperwork from WADA laboratories with an official stamp and signature saying all the substances that he had recommended for me to take were completely permitted and legal. I've been tested so many times, I think around 12 times in 2015, and the previous 9 years, and everything was fine. And it was determined that meldonium was going from the monitoring list to the prohibited list. At the end of 2015, players were sent emails, and there was nothing about meldonium written front and center in any of them. It was just very disappointing to learn what other federations did in order to warn their athletes. Because if I was warned, when I would have received that email in January, I would have at least known what the word meldonium was. The ITF knew that there was over 20 tests in 2015 that had meldonium in their system, and some of them were my tests. That's quite a large number. So the fact that they had that number and didn't do anything extra with it is very alarming.
I'm very sure that Maria did not know this thing was on the list, otherwise she would have never taken it, because we are so paranoid about taking anything that is on that list.
If she was caught to be positive on the doping for a certain substance, then there should be certain kind of consequences for that.
I think most people were happy that she was upfront and very honest and showed a lot of courage to admit to what she had done and what she had neglected to look at in terms of the list at the end of the year.
She has such a very professional team. For everybody in the tennis world, I think Maria Sharapova is the last person that we expected this to happen to.
When there are 4 or 5 people on the team, everyone has a specific role. So you have a physical therapist, a fitness coach, a coach.
When you go here, then you're here. You see the difference? I mean, it's such a small difference, but it's a huge impact on the outcome.
And I think I, along with my team, got comfortable with using and taking something that was given to me for my health so many years ago, and never ever crossed my mind that I was ever taking anything for performance enhancing. I had a system in place that worked for many years on checking the substances. I stopped working with the doctor in Russia in 2013 because I wanted to take more of a natural approach. One of the things I didn't have after I stopped working with him was that point person that overlooked everything. And I continued to take 3 of the substances, which he had always told me to take, and Mildronate was one of them. And I had let my manager know, and he had the responsibility of checking that every year. Because of personal problems, issues, what he had going on in his life, and in 2015 he didn't check the list. So that was his mistake, and my bigger mistake was not making sure that he checked the list at the end of the year. And that was my mistake of being comfortable, of being satisfied that something was completely legal and that there's no reason for me to have to double check.
I'm sorry, that doesn't hold together. It was willful negligence to miss that.
I take great responsibility and professionalism in my job every single day, and I made a huge mistake.
You're running a $30 million a year sole enterprise. You better make sure that the basis for that commercial success, if nothing else, remains unassailable.
I can have so many reasons to be angry. I can think of so many people. I can blame so many people, including myself. But that doesn't help you moving forward. I could fire many people. And what would that do? What would that change?
I know that with this, I face consequences, and I don't want to end my career this way, and I really hope that I will be given another chance to play this game.
In early June, I got the official wording and statement from the ITF after my case was heard. And they had banned me for 2 years. The maximum that I could have received was 4 years, and the minimum was 1. I mean, 2 years meant I had no intent of performance enhancing, yet it said that I had a way of performance enhancing, which I think contradicts itself very openly. And the ITF also made a big point about the fact that I was concealing my use of meldonium, which is far from the truth, as there was no reason for me to hide something that was completely legal for me to take. It was all very hurtful and it was all very aggressive. Just felt very violating. The one thing that I've always wanted in my career was, I never felt like I don't need to be liked or loved by everyone, and that's not realistic. But I wanted to be respected.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks a lot for taking the time to join me. Let me make a few points, and then I'm happy to take any questions.
Don't give me less than I deserve. No, I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for you to tell me I could go play tomorrow. I appealed the time frame of 2 years to a neutral judge. It was another chance, but it was the final chance that I had, and it was the final verdict, and there was no other appeal, and there was no other process, and what I was gonna get, I was gonna have to live with.
Huh?
15 months. Thank you. I am. I can come back in April. I know. I know, but those motherfuckers, I still wanted 12 months. But it's okay. It's alright. It's okay. There's a reason. There's a lot in me that's very much a portrait of someone that just fights, and whether that's ugly, whether it's pretty, I really don't care. I just fight for what I believe is right, for what I believe is my right, and what is my voice. And looking back at myself, I believe that in those moments, that's who I was. I was a street fighter. As I was reading the report, I was just so know, I just felt free, and I felt like it was so comforting to realize that a neutral panel had stated the language so clearly and, you know, came out and said that we pretty much don't agree with the ITF verdict, that Maria had no intent in performance enhancing. She did not violate those rules. She did not mask or hide her use of mildronate and meldonium. She is by no means allowed to be called an intentional doper. I mean, I think those words are pretty clear and pretty strong. What's the latest update?
Latest, I'm getting...
Bombarded?
Yeah, getting bombarded by friends, family.
Head statement is gold.
Well, I mean, they stood up from the beginning, and they've been...
I like people with no fear. I like it.
Have you spoken to your dad? He's been off the
I know.
radar a little
I
bit.
haven't. Well, I spoke to him on the day. And he's like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "Why am I crying?" The fuck do you mean? Why I'm crying? Алло, папуля? Да, папуля. It's already out, Daddy. Yeah. Yes. Настроение хорошее, я не спала всю ночь. Ну как чего, пап? Как бы, чего? Что за вопрос? Я знаю. He just told me no matter what happens in life, you need to sleep. Thanks. Мы сейчас едем к Джону в офис, там, ну, у него будет пресс-конференс по телефону с медиа. Потом я буду готовиться к Charlie Rose. Okay. Love you. I can't wait to get in that room right now because I just see Max.
Good. We're in this room here.
Good, John.
See ya. We're this way, guys.
BBC and ABC and another New York Times. So we have 7 people.
Oh, look who's here. Thought you might have lost some weight since Friday.
Monitoring everything.
Hey, Rich.
How are you?
How are you?
Good.
Can we
I'm
do the Today
great.
Show first and then have her go to GMA and then they get 2 interviews out of 1. They don't get it first, but at least they get.
I don't have any money left. I don't have any money left from all the shrink bills that I had to pay to get through this thing. You really understand who your true friends are and who you're during a process like this. Our sponsors have been amazing. I mean, every one of them had the right to terminate the contract if they wanted to, and everyone but one stayed, and you know, and they're, to see them happy with the result is just great. So it's, you know, maybe we're all a little better from it, but it's been tough. You know, we've been through a lot together. I've been together since she's 12 years old and had some amazing moments. I mean, incredible moments of my life, from